Welcome to another cartridge comparison. In today's video, we are comparing the 7mm PRC to the 28 Nosler. We're going to find out, can the 7mm PRC keep up with the 28 Nosler? Or is the 28 Nosler a little too much gun? Let's find out. The Nosler cartridges started out in 2014. Nosler took a shortened 300 Remington Ultra Magnum and necked it down to 264 caliber, and that created the 26 Nosler and an extremely hypervelocity 264 Magnum. Now fast forward a year, and Nosler created their most popular cartridge, the 28 Nosler. So it's that same case with the 300, basically shortened 300 rum. So there they are next to each other. And it's necked to 7mm. In its short 8 years of life so far, it has quite the reputation as being a barn burner that can reach distances that people didn't think they could reach before. And it also has a reputation of being a barrel burner. A lot of people say you'll be lucky if you get 800 rounds out of your barrel. Let's go ahead and look at the performance. The 28 Nosler with a 150 grain bullet, you're pushing that 3,450 feet per second, according to Hornady. The 160 class grain bullet, it's moving 3,300 feet per second. Then we get to the 175 and 180 class grain, and this is kind of the bullet I want to compare to the 7mm PRC. Hornady's claiming 3,150. And lastly, a 190 grain at 3,000 feet per second. Now, something interesting. If we open up the Nosler book, it's going to have a little bit different numbers for the 175 grain bullet. Let's take a look. Now looking at the Nosler's reloading data with the 28 Nosler, again, this is their cartridge. They're claiming you can get just a little over 3,200 feet per second. Again, this is with a 26-inch barrel, and that is really moving. The 7mm PRC was introduced to everyone late October of 2022, and January or February now of 2023, you can get rifles now. There's limited selection, and the ammo's extremely hard to find. I have seen it a few times, but it goes pretty quickly. This is becoming quite a popular cartridge, and the reasons for that is modern case, where you can seat the bullet out quite far, and you're really getting the full potential of that case and its capacity with the powder. Speaking of the case, the parent case is the 375 Ruger. It is obviously shortened to 2.280 inches, and it's necked down to 7mm. Let's go ahead and look at the performance though. We'll just start at the 150 grain, and you're getting 3,150. So it's 300 feet per second slower than the 28 Nosler, at least with the 150 grain bullets. Then the 162 grain, again 3,150, and the 28 Nosler was 3,300. Now to the 175 grain, the bullet we're going to compare it to. It's going 3,000 feet per second, and I think max you're going to see in a 28 Nosler is 3,200. So depending on the bullet, you're at minimum you're going to be about 200 feet per second faster in a 28 Nosler. Now looking at the ballistics and seeing the full potential, let's start with the 7mm PRC. Again, we're using 175 ELDX, and hand loading it, you can get 3,000 feet per second. Now this is with a 24-inch barrel. I think most 7mm PRC hunting rifles are going to be 24-inch barrels. So you possibly could get a little bit more with a 26-inch. Recoil-wise, it's not too bad. Less than a 300 Win Mag, and probably a little bit more than a 7mm Remington Magnum. And it's going 3,000 feet per second. It has energy of almost 3,500 foot-pounds. For hunting distances, this thing's going to have plenty of power. You know, you're going to have almost 2,400 foot-pounds at 400 yards. The drop is 22.78 inches, not too bad, and a 10-mile-per-hour wind, 7.25 inches of wind drift. Okay, now 7mm PRC is marketed as a long distance cartridge, so let's just take it out to 900 yards, and the bullet's going almost 1900 feet per second. The energy is 1388 foot-pounds, and your drop is 184.9 inches. And again, 10-mile-per-hour wind, you're going to have 41.5 inches of wind drift. This thing's a monster with not too much recoil. 28 Nosler with that same bullet, and I am going to have it at 3200 feet per second because that's what Nosler says it can get with a 26-inch barrel. And your energy is almost 4,000 foot-pounds. But let's see, what is the recoil like? It's a bit more when it's going 200 feet per second faster, so you're going to feel it. Then let's just see how it does out to 400 yards, 2,647 feet per second, and 2,700 foot-pounds. About 300 foot-pound advantage, actually almost 400 foot-pounds. And then at least a couple inches less of drop and about an inch difference on wind drift. So even at 400 yards, you're starting to see an advantage coming out with the 28 Nosler. Now let's just take this out to 900 yards. Again, you're almost having 300 more foot-pounds of energy, only 159 inches of drop, and only 37.4 inches of wind drift. So the 28 Nosler definitely outclasses the 7mm PRC. Now before I wrap this up, I know most of you that watch the channel don't reload. So what kind of advantages does the 28 Nosler have over the 7mm PRC with factory ammo? Let's find out. This is the 7mm PRC with the 175 ELDX. It's going 3,000 feet per second. And so it's going to have a lot of the same numbers that I just showed you. Out to 500 yards, 2,141 foot-pounds of energy. Again, plenty for just about everything in North America. Okay, so this is not a complete apples-to-apples comparison because we can't get a 175 ELDX in a 28 Nosler in factory ammo yet. But you can get a 175 grain AccuBond long range. The BC is kind of close. It's a little less, but Nosler has it going 3,125 feet per second. Your energy is almost 3,800 foot-pounds. Then out to 500 yards, it's closer. It only has about 100 more foot-pounds of energy. So there's not a huge difference. So the question comes, which one's better? I really think that comes down to if you shoot factory ammo or if you hand load. Again, there's not a ton of difference with the 7mm PRC and 28 Nosler with factory ammo. Again, the 28 Nosler still beats it, but not by as much as you would think. But if you hand load, the 28 Nosler beats it quite handily. So for me, well, I'm a reloader. So if I were to pick a 7mm between these two, I think it'd be an easy choice for me to get the 28 Nosler. And yes, the barrel life is going to be shorter than a 7mm PRC, but yeah, I don't really care. So I picked the 28 Nosler, but I definitely think the 7mm PRC is an extremely good cartridge, and that it's going to absolutely trounce the 28 Nosler in sales, obviously. But let me know what you would pick, and I hope you enjoyed the video.